Well, hello folks, welcome. I am going to be talking about LibreOffice today for the MX distribution. MX Xfce desktop to be specific. I'm going to talk about templates. I'm going to talk about adding a dictionary to your system, a visual dictionary that has pictures and also shows you, well, if you are looking for a specific word, for instance, it'll tell you where it came from. And etymology is what they call that. And more importantly, it's a nice, pleasant, at least I think it's a nice, pleasant dictionary as a complement to your office. So LibreOffice is very popular in a lot of circles. It's installed on a lot of Linux distributions or distros. So today I'm going to talk about how to add additional templates to LibreOffice. I'll touch upon fonts, and I'll touch about some additional, things you can add on to LibreOffice. There's a Heinz variety of stuff. So welcome folks. So again, this is MX Xfce. Now I'm going to make mention of this before I get going. I'm going to be filming in 1920 by 1080 today. So you can hit stop or pause on your video player and take a look at your gear symbol on your YouTube player and adjust your video resolution accordingly, because the text is about to get smaller. Okay, so just keep that in mind. So you have the option of adjusting your own screen resolution on your player. I also do highly encourage that you subscribe. I have tons of videos for you. My new YouTube channel, I had a previous one. My new YouTube channel is over 100. And you can go in the community tab if you don't know how to do keyword searches inside of my own YouTube site. And then there's some tips in there how to do that. And also please read the About section on my YouTube site. So I do have lots of material on a lot of different things, folks. So again, I'm filming in 1920 by 1080. My video will be more than 2 minutes, but they all have chapters and timelines on them. So welcome, folks. Let's talk about a couple things. So we have Office. LibreOffice. I'll talk about, again, just as a highlight, some additional templates in addition to these. I'll talk about Writer, what different formats you can save that in. And you know, LibreOffice is a suite, so it not only has Writer, but it has a spreadsheet and other applications. That's what you have in here. I'll touch upon fonts a little bit. There's a lot of things you can do with LibreOffice, and it's very popular. I'll also talk about, touch about saving documents in Microsoft Word document formats. So anyways, folks, I'm going to first start with installing a dictionary. So I'm going to go to my MX menu and go to the MX package installer. So one more time, my video is more than 2 minutes. It has timelines and chapters. Also, please check your video player if some of this stuff is not to your liking. You can always adjust your video resolution. So Bob is my fictitious user. I use different names when I do my videos. So I'm going to log in. First thing I'm going to do is install a dictionary. So that happens to be just my pick. I'm going to put in Golden. It is not found in the popular apps, but it is found in the enabled repos. So go ahead and click that tab after you put in that keyword. And what you're looking for is Golden DICT. And then install that. There's probably others that you can install, but this is the one that I would probably investigate as far as a dictionary. I'll show you how to use it. And it's not that hard to figure out, but I'm going to show you some tips you may not be aware of. And if you have watched any of my videos in the last 4 years, either a previous subscriber or a new subscriber, you know I have a lot of different ways of doing things. All right, so with that said, I'm going to temporarily close, and we're going to open this a little bit later. Let me cover the dictionary first before I get into LibreOffice. So the dictionary, it installs itself in the Office category. It's right here. When you open this, by the way, it produces an icon down here. Okay, it almost looks like a QR code. And it'll stay resident here, even after I close this. All right, with this open, maybe you've seen some of my videos, but this is where I'm going to get into letting you see a couple of the tricks that I do. I can resize this instead of using the plus or minus, which takes all day to click in my book, or you can do it my way. Okay, I have a very inexpensive USB-based computer mouse. And what I'm doing with it, it has a scroll wheel on it. I'm using the combination of my keyboard and the computer mouse to resize the text. And I'll do the same in LibreOffice, so stay tuned for that. Hold down your control key on your keyboard while using that scroll wheel on that computer mouse, and you can resize the text. Or you can do it the old-fashioned way. Here's another 2 tips for you. If you need to resize this window, just double-click inside this black line. Or you can do it the old-fashioned way. Your choice. You can also close this box and any other window in MX with Alt F4 instead of hitting that X in the corner. Alt F4 is the example. Now let me reopen the dictionary and you'll see it's still sitting here. So I'm going to click it. So this will stay resident down here on your panel bar until you right click and hit quit. Okay? So let's do a search for a word. This is a visual dictionary. In other words, it has pictures. So I'm going to use carpet as my example. And here's my carpets. So you could resize the box, which I'm going to do. I'll resize this a little bit bigger for you. And then I'm going to resize the text using my method. You can use the old-fashioned method if you like, by doing it that way. But I'm going to do it this way. All I wanted to do is, I know you can't read this. I wanted to point out there's pictures in here, or photos. Now I'll resize the text back up. And you notice that I can do this rather quickly instead of using that little plus and minus thing. Okay, so you got etymology down here. Where did that word come from? What's it meaning? That kind of thing. All right. So this again is a golden dictionary lookup program. Comes in handy. So resizing. You can do it my way or you can do it the old-fashioned way. I can hit Alt F4 also to close this window, which I'm about to do. However, it's still open. It's sitting right here. It looks like a QR code almost. It's sitting right next to my simple screen recorder icon. That needs to be there the whole time I'm recording this video. And more importantly, it opens up to where I last left it. Unless I right click on it and hit quit. Now if I reopen it, it goes back to this. All right, so I'll type in the same word. So there you have it. So again, if I use Alt F4, I can close this. I can also double click to make this bigger, double click to make it smaller, or I can do it the old-fashioned way. Or I can also close it the old-fashioned way by hitting the X in the corner. It still stays resident. Okay, let's move on and let's talk about your Office. LibreOffice. So if you're interested in more templates than what comes installed, let me point to the down arrow and then over to Manage and that little funny looking symbol right next to the gear. Browse online templates. So you can go here and let it load, and now you can see some different spell checkers. And you also have all these different categories you can click on and give it a try. So I'm going to click Documents for a second. And wait till it loads. There's some templates in here that I'm looking at. So if you're doing a resume, for instance, there's some right there. But there's tons of different types of templates and so forth and so on. You can see all the different ones in here. This again is extension.libreoffice.org. It is achieved by just opening this up and clicking that, providing, of course, you've got an internet connection. All right, now I'm going to open up the Writer. You know, I can open up anything, but more importantly, I'm just going to focus in on Writer. So I'm going to type something. As you know, we all have spell checkers in here too. So if I misspell that, for instance, it gives me a squiggly, and you can, of course, self-correct it from here. And it's taking the best guess that it could. I got way too many S's in there. But more importantly, it's probably, oops, sorry, delete, right click. So what I was aiming for is test. All right, 1 and 2. So So I'm just typing in anything, and then I'm going to do a special trick, which I've shown using the dictionary. All I'm doing here is using the exact same little trick that I just showed you a couple of minutes ago. I'm going for resizing, only using my computer mouse scroll wheel and that control key on my keyboard. All right, so you have your fonts, which I'll talk about in a little bit here. You have your sizes. If you've never used LibreOffice Writer, it's not that hard to learn. And more importantly, though, I'm going to talk about Save As. A lot of people don't know you can save these documents in Microsoft formats. The standard is ODT. I'm going to click that down arrow key. There's also OTT. I'm scrolling. Now you have .docx for Word 2007 Office 365, or Word 97 through 2003 .doc, for instance. There's more options over here, just as an FYI. Okay. You can also do my same trick with resizing this window. So if you are wanting to double click, that imaginary line up at the top makes this maximum. And wherever you have that resized. So if I had this resized to something like that, actually I'm going to resize this some more so it's in the center. Double click on that line, maximum, and resize, or use it the old-fashioned way. Your choice. Just some extra tips for you folks. Okay, so keep in mind, that's what I'm doing with that control key on my computer mouse scroll wheel. So let's talk about some additional options here. Could I have used Alt F4? Yeah, I could have, but I typed something in there, so it defeats its purpose. But I will open this up briefly. Let's say you mistakenly opened up Writer for a second, and you're not typing anything, and you need to close this box in a hurry. Instead of aiming for that X in the corner, use Alt F4. It'll shut down that window immediately. All right, let's go back to the package installer and talk about a couple things. We can talk about fonts and additional software for LibreOffice. All right, so we have in the popular application side some fonts. We also have, and here's your classic Microsoft fonts, by the way, and you can click that and install that. Or you can also click the enabled repos, and you'll have lots of choices. Everything that doesn't have a blue check mark on it is not installed. So you can see a lot of different fonts that are in here. Let me resize this box. Maybe you can see this a little bit better over here now. There's lots of different fonts in here. I mean a ton. The other thing that you can do is type in LibreOffice in here and see additional software. All right, so first of all, we have languages that are in the popular section. Then you can have enabled repos. And now you can see all the different things that have to do with LibreOffice. There is a Heinz variety of stuff in here. Way too many for me to actually cover. This is something you need to explore on your own. But I just wanted to point out that using that just simple search word, you have a Heinz variety of stuff that you can install, and also in different languages. Lots of material. Can I use Alt F4 in here? Absolutely. I'm going to move my mouse pointer out of the way. Alt F4. Alt F4. All right, let me do a recap here. So if you wanted to have a dictionary, try Golden Dictionary. Again, it stays resident in here. It's still here. Once you start it up, it stays resident in here until you physically do that. Right-click and hit quit. So that was Golden Dictionary. You don't have to use it. I'm just suggesting it. I particularly find this useful, but maybe you don't. The other thing about LibreOffice, one more time, if I go to the main package, you can download additional templates by using that little down arrow key and clicking on that little box right there. Browse online templates. And once you get connected to their website, it's extension.libreoffice.org. You pick the category that you're interested in. And the same thing goes with the fonts. If you're needing to install additional fonts, either open up Package Installer here or go down here on that symbol over here and install that. Okay, you can also look for fonts in here or anything else for that matter. This is Synaptic Package Manager. Lots of different ways to install software. We can also use Terminal, but you normally need to know the name of the package. But I'm just doing this for point and click stuff. Hopefully you found this video helpful, and take care, folks.